So I'm back for a few weeks, so you'll hear the weekday homilies when I'm here sitting, and I hope it doesn't bother you, and if it does, it's too bad. I'm going to be sitting anyway. And I said that way sarcastically because of the gospel today and also the first reading. We got to be careful of being self-righteous. I'll give you a little story. Happened not long ago, back in New York. There's a Eucharistic minister who sits in the congregation, and when it's communion time, she just, like we have rows like this, she just comes up the side and comes into the sanctuary, cleans her hands, and then begins communion. And one of the holy rollers, those who are there all the time, she's always in church. She comes up to me and she says, I'll make up a name, Mary. When Mary came up to give out communion, she did not genuflect in front of the altar. And when she came up for communion, she walked past the tabernacle and didn't genuflect there either. And she walked right into the sanctuary. And I don't even think she washed her hands. I wanted to say to her, well, I can't say it. I can't say it in church. I didn't say it to her. But just imagine, I do my grandmother. She's always safe. You say it in Italian, it sounds worse, but it's not as bad. La fatta una camminata. Go take a walk for yourself. Okay, and I'm not a saint, by no means, but say what you are, do what you are, and stop the rest. That's what's going on in the scriptures today. We know how to be good Christians. The prophet Isaiah gave us a good overview. We know how to do it. We don't need this, but we need it because we forget it, I guess. Because we get so wrapped up in ourselves, we say, to hell with God, I'm doing it my way. That example I gave you was self-righteousness. She could have gone to the woman easily and said, oh, by the way, it's the custom that we do this and this, if it is the custom. In Isaiah, he's telling the people, you want God to love you, you want God to react to you, you want God to connect with you, remove oppression from your midst. Get rid of accusations and malicious speech. Give your bread to the hungry and satisfy the poor. Then God's light will come upon you. Okay, so we know how, and the reading, of course, continues. So we know what to do, but those who are in charge in the time of Jesus also knew what to do. The self-righteous Pharisees, scribes, Jesus did not care for them at all because of their artificial behavior. He passes a tax stand, common in that area, occupied by the Romans, and Levi, eventually called Matthew, the author of Matthew. Levi, his name, his family name, which means he's a member of the priest caste of the tribes of Jerusalem. And he sees Levi collecting money, and I think he read his heart, because he would not have called another tax collector, Roman puppet, blah, 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 on that side. Them and us, he would have been them. But he saw something in Levi, and he said, follow me. And that was enough. Levi drops things, and he follows Jesus. The movie Chosen did it very beautifully. He makes a real connection between Levi and the Roman soldier, and Levi has a special key, stands behind this particular room, and the grill in that room separates the people from him and all that. And Jesus is watching what's going on. This is the movie. And through all that, he sees Levi, and they make eye contact, and Jesus calls him. But I think the scriptures are more succinct and right to the point. He saw Levi, and I think he read Levi's heart the way he reads your hearts and my heart. the way he read the heart of that woman who was a critic. So we know what to do to win God's favor. I don't think we have to do much to win his favor. He loves us anyway, as we are. He would like to get us closer to him. But we know what to do. We're in the season of Lent. And the three great pillars of Lent: prayer, almsgiving, fasting. If we do that, think of what the Pope said. He's so funny sometimes. You want to shake him, but he's such a wise, I know some people think he's communist leanings and all that stuff. Put that aside. Don't be so judgmental. But he speaks to us as a father should speak to us. When he said the other day, don't bother giving up meat and big dishes and all this other stuff for Lent. Give up hate. Give up greed. Give up not talking to your relatives. Give up not being kind. Give up not caring. Fast from that. We know what to do. We don't need the Pope to tell us. Jesus made it very clear, but he's our Father, and we listen to him, and we take advice from him as we take advice from any elder or any wise person in our community, religious or not. So this is the season of Lent, 40 days. I think every one of us has to decide, what am I giving up? What am I fasting from, staying away from, or abstaining from? Who is the poor person I'm going to spend a little more time for? Maybe with. Who will be the person or the agency that receives a little more charity from me this summer, this season? And I have to think about that. If we haven't thought about it yet, it's a good day before this first Sunday to think about it. Prayer. You can't pray too much. Being in the presence of God, making ourselves experience the presence of God, is prayer. It could be walking to your car, it could be sitting in church, it could be anywhere. The greatest prayer is here, the Eucharist. We know that. It's the connection between God and us. Because prayer is lifting up our hearts and minds to God. The Eucharist is a perfect prayer. Because God not only allows us to lift our minds and hearts to him, he gives us his Son. So the connection is perfect. And our goal is to live it when we leave here. We know what to do. So as we begin the season of Lent, look at prayer. When we have our mission, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the whole mission is going to be various ways of prayer. We're using the Stations of the Cross through the eyes of Mary as a model. There's thousands of ways to pray. But we're using Mary as a model because she was one of us. She wasn't God. She gave God the greatest yes creation could give. And she's our model. She's a human being. Okay, she was special. Hey, if she was my mother and I was God, I wouldn't allow the body to corrupt either. I'd assume her into heaven, no doubt, because she was the tabernacle of Jesus Christ on earth. But she's human, and she walked with her Son to Calvary, and that'll be our mission at the mission, to invite all of us to walk with Mary and experience what she experienced. Any one of you who are mothers, you could just imagine following your son to the crucifixion, watching him be spit upon, watching him be unduly condemned. Last week in New York it happened. The whole thing is regrettable, but I'll describe it. It was on nationwide TV. A few We have to use the word that they're using in New York. Immigrants who are housed at a particular hotel attacked a few policemen. Disgraceful, right from the beginning. The whole thing is disgraceful. We're using people as political pawns. That's another issue. They attacked, and they got one kid of others, but they got one. And the picture was this teenager who, by the way, I may be mixing two different events, but he had a gun and he shot somebody as well. So he's being taken in by the police. And you don't see, but you hear the voice of his mother in the background screaming, crying. You can understand that. I'm not saying the crime, I'm not even talking about the event. I'm talking about the voice of the mother screaming. They're taking her young 15-year-old son away to prison. That's important for us to understand how Mary experienced the suffering and crucifixion of her son. So our prayer during the mission will be to join Mary. And I invite you to come, bring your friends, bring your kids. And it's going to be music, art, prayer, English, Spanish, and a few other things that are going to be very different, but it's me, so you get you won't be surprised. The 3 pillars of Lent are here: fasting, taking care of the poor, and prayer.